Everyone thought she was just another girl on the street, fragile, forgotten, and fading. But when a mysterious rich man walked into her life, what started as an act of kindness turned into something no one could have ever imagined. A real-life fairy tale. Once upon a time, in the heart of a busy city full of gleaming skyscrapers and honking cars, lived a young woman named Emily. She was only 22, but her life had already been a long and difficult road. She had been diagnosed with a rare, chronic illness that made everyday tasks feel like mountains. Her parents had passed away in a car crash when she was just 10, and after being moved from one foster home to another, she aged out of the system at 18. With no one to call family and no stable job due to her declining health, Emily lived in a small rented room and spent her days sitting outside the city hospital quietly reading books and watching the world go by. Emily had a quiet grace about her. She was thin and pale, but her eyes held a gentle strength, and her smile, though rare, was beautiful. She was known among the hospital staff as the bench girl, always sitting at the same spot no matter the weather. People often passed her by without a second glance, not knowing the depth of pain and hope she carried within her. Far from this quiet existence, in the luxurious upper floors of a tall glass building, worked a man named Alexander Black. He was one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. With numerous companies under his name, investments across the globe, and a lifestyle most people could only dream of, Alexander was constantly in the spotlight. Yet, despite all his success, he felt empty. Years ago, his younger sister, Lily, had died from a rare disease, the same illness Emily now suffered from. He had promised himself then that if he ever came across someone like Lily, he would not let history repeat itself. It was a cold winter morning when fate brought Emily and Alexander together. Alexander was visiting the hospital for a business meeting. As he walked across the hospital courtyard, he noticed a young woman sitting alone on a bench, her thin fingers flipping through the pages of a worn-out book. Something about her reminded him of Lily. He paused for a moment, watching her. She looked up, their eyes met briefly, and then she returned to her book. That single moment stayed with him. Later that night, Alexander asked his assistant to find out who she was. Within hours, he had her entire background in front of him, her medical history, her financial situation, and the fact that she had no family to support her. His heart ached. She was fighting alone. Quietly, without letting her know, he arranged for her medical bills to be paid, scheduled appointments with the best doctors, and even moved her into a better room near the hospital, all under the name of a charitable foundation. Emily was surprised when the hospital told her she was now under a special care program. She didn't question it too much. She was simply grateful. Her health started improving slowly. She felt a new kind of strength in her body. Still, she continued her daily visits to the hospital bench, unaware of the man silently watching over her. A few days later, Alexander decided to speak to her. He dressed simply, left behind his expensive car, and walked to the bench. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked. Emily looked at him and nodded. "It's a public bench." They sat in silence for a few minutes. Then he said, "I see you here a lot." She gave a soft smile. "This is my spot." That day, they spoke for nearly an hour. Emily talked about her favorite books, the way the city looked during sunsets, and her dream of writing a novel someday. Alexander listened carefully, captivated by her simplicity and depth. For the first time in years, he felt something real. He started visiting her more often, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with flowers. They laughed, talked, and shared stories. Emily had no idea who he really was. She just saw him as a kind man who liked to talk. That made their bond stronger. Weeks turned into months. Alexander found himself canceling meetings just to spend time with her. He began to see the world through her eyes, simple, raw, and beautiful. Emily was getting better too. Her health was stabilizing, her cheeks had color again, and her spirit was shining brighter. One day, Alexander invited her to an art exhibit. She hesitated but agreed. He picked her up in a regular car, dressed casually. That evening was magical. Emily wore a light blue dress, and Alexander couldn't take his eyes off her. They walked through paintings, laughed at odd art pieces, and shared a quiet dinner at a small cafe. Emily told him, "This feels like a fairy tale." He smiled, knowing he was slowly falling in love. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves. A reporter snapped a picture of them together. The next morning, Emily woke up to see her face on the news. Billionaire CEO seen with unknown woman. She was shocked. When she confronted Alexander, he finally told her everything. "I didn't mean to lie," he said. "I just wanted to be close to you without you treating me differently." Emily felt betrayed, but also understood. She took some time alone to think. After a few days, she met him again on their bench. "You gave me a new life," she said. "But you didn't have to pretend. I loved you for who you were with me." Tears filled Alexander's eyes. "I want to give you a forever, Emily. Not just a fairy tale, but a real, honest life together." They embraced, and from that moment, there were no more secrets. He proposed a month later, under the stars at a quiet beach, with candles surrounding them. She said yes. They had a small wedding with a few close friends. Emily wore a simple white dress. Alexander couldn't stop smiling. They moved into a cozy home, and Emily started writing again. She published a book about her journey and titled it, The Girl on the Bench. Years passed. Emily became a voice for people with rare diseases. Alexander opened more foundations in memory of his sister. They lived a life full of purpose, love, and hope. One night, as they watched the stars, Emily whispered, "You gave me a fairy tale, Alexander." He held her hand and said, "You gave me a reason to believe in one." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who still believes in miracles. And for more emotional and heartwarming stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel, LoveStory. Because here, every story is painted with emotions.